I grew up in Spanish Harlem, you know? A place where you look up and see Puerto Rican flags hanging from every other window, you know? On days when Felix Trinidad would win a fight, Spanish cats would ride through in their Hondas, honking their horns, shouting, "Viva Puerto Rico!" I had this one lady named Lucy that lived on the 6th floor above us, you know? Every time she'd clean her apartment, she'd have her door wide open, and she'd be blasting La Mega. All you would hear is that joint, this one joint that she used to play. You know? Where my family was just one of only 2 black families that lived in my building, you know? Sometimes me and my mother be waiting for the elevator, right? The doors will open up and there'll be 2 Spanish ladies on there speaking in English. Then when we get on, they'll switch to Spanish, you know? And my mother, when we get off the elevator, she'll look back and be like, "And fuck you too." Just in case they were saying some shit about it in Spanish she didn't understand, you know? Now I went to a mostly Hispanic school that was like right across the street from my apartment building. And every time Black History Month came around, my mother would complain, you know? She'd say, "Every time Black History Month come around, all they want to do is hang some pictures of Martin Luther King up on the wall. More black people did something than Martin Luther King. A black man invented the stoplight. A black man performed the first open heart surgery. A black man." Every time Hispanic Heritage Month came around, they have all us make these elaborate costumes and put on this parade outside in front of the school, you know? And my mother, she complained. She said, "Y'all ain't Puerto Rican. They want to have y'all parading up and down the street like y'all Puerto Rican. They don't do none of that shit when Black History Month come around." And she keep us home, you know? And I remember like watching the parade from my apartment window, you know? Seeing all my friends dressed up in costumes made out the colors of the Puerto Rican flag, capes made out the colors of the Puerto Rican flag waving high and proud in the air, you know? And I remember how left out that shit made me feel, you know? Because what did I have, you know? As a black American, you know? I mean, I grew up in this cultural melting pot that's New York City, where you have all these different nationalities. Jamaicans, Haitians, Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, each with their own flag, their own language, their own culture, their own country. What did I have? I didn't have a flag. I didn't have a language. I didn't have a country. I felt like an individual piece of rock floating throughout a galaxy where every other group of people had their own planet. And people used to say to me that because I'm a black American, that makes me a descendant of African slaves, which makes me African, but I never felt African, you know, to be honest. I mean, Africa is a continent and not a country, you know, people forget that, you know. Inside Africa, you have all these different countries and tribes, each with their own flag, their own language, their own culture. Nobody can tell me which one my family came from, what flag we waved, what language we spoke, what culture we had. Nobody can tell me which one I could go home to, you know? And it was never enough for me to research and study different African cultures, pluck out the socially acceptable aspects of each one in an attempt to string together a socially acceptable black identity for myself in America, because that wasn't real to me. So I found myself forced to face the reality that I'm essentially American by default, an adopted child of a family that doesn't hesitate to let me know that I don't truly belong, carrying on the name of the man that probably owned my ancestors, you know, and feeling powerless.